Scaling your law firm doesn't have to be difficult. It's all about mastering a few key strategies, systems, and mindsets. Welcome to the Scalable Law Podcast, where we talk about how you can increase profit in your pocket and time in your calendar. My name is Carolee Fontanelli, and I have successfully scaled my firm so that it doesn't solely rely on me. Now I love teaching other law firm owners how to do the same. Let's transform your business starting now. Hey there, it's Carolee Fontanelli here, and welcome to another episode of the Scalable Law Podcast. If you're a law firm owner who's feeling like you're the glue holding every single part of the law firm together, this episode is for you. Last night, I went to a File Notes podcast dinner, which was awesome. It was sponsored by VXT and Clio, and we hosted it here on the Gold Coast with around 20 law firms there in the room. And we had really great discussions. And one of the topics that came up is, when should I be hiring a practice manager or an operations manager in my law firm? And am I too small to hire that person? So I thought this was a great podcast topic. And today I wanted to talk to you about really the most transformational hire that I made in my law firm, which was bringing on that practice manager, or in our case, we have an operations manager. That's her title. So if you've ever wondered, when is it the right time to bring someone into this role, or what should this person likely be doing, then keep on listening. This podcast is for you. I'll walk you through when to hire, what to delegate, and the kind of impact that this amazing hire can have on your law firm and on your life. So for me personally, when I was growing the firm, I kept hiring lawyers, and I had an accounts person, I had a receptionist, but I didn't have anyone who was taking control or really responsibility for the practice as a whole, or the smooth operations of the practice. So all of that fell on me. So all of the big decisions, the reporting, the IT, the ordering, all of it fell on me. And so it was a wake-up call one day when I had an expert come into the business and structure the business out with me to really see what seats I had and what my next right hire would be. So this is what we do when we hop into Accelerator in my program. We look at your structure and really look at what your next hire should be and what team players should we be getting on board in your firm. Should you keep hiring lawyers or paralegals, or should you really think about hiring a practice manager? So when is the right time to hire this practice manager in your law firm? Well, here's my rule of thumb. You're ready when the firm has outgrown you as a sole operator. So what that usually looks like is you're spending more time managing staff than doing legal work or growing the business. So you're not actually spending any time growing. You're just, or thinking about the firm from a strategy point of view. You're just turning the wheels over day to day. You feel like a bottleneck by admin, HR, client complaints, onboarding, and financial oversight. So you've got all of that on your plate. You're working nights or weekends just to keep the machine moving forward. And you're ready to scale, but you know that you can't be the one doing everything anymore, or you're just going to burn out. And if you're at a point where, your firm hasn't scaled and it's just getting busier and busier for you, maybe it's because you're the bottleneck and you really need to get a practice manager in to help. So typically this is around $500,000 to $1 million turnover, depending on your margins and structure, that you should really be looking at hiring a practice manager. Now, the great thing about a really good practice manager is that they can do a lot and take a lot off your plate. So if you're generating enough revenue, but you're still personally chasing up invoices, onboarding every client, approving every leave request, or training each new hire, then I really think that it's time that you have this person in your firm. So what does a practice manager or operations manager actually do? This was a question that went around the table last night, and it was really interesting to me because the role can look a bit different depending on the size of your firm and depending on what role you really want to take on in your firm. So for me personally, I really want to be the visionary. I don't want to be the one doing the nitty-gritty items. I want to have someone in the firm who I can come up with the vision and then they can roll it out. So that is ideal for me. Other people want that firm, that operations manager to help with the vision and also roll it out. So it just depends what you want. So your operations manager or practice manager definitely needs to have skills where they can manage the team. So they're going to take this off your plate. Team management. So managing performance reviews and regular check-ins, that can be with your admin team and your lawyers. Handling staff queries, leave requests, HR, admin, all of that sort of thing. And coordinating recruitment and onboarding new team members. This needs to be taken off your plate so that you're not doing any of those things. They can also help with client experience oversight. So ensuring the intake processes are followed. And if you don't have intake processes, they can help you develop the intake processes and then make sure that they're followed. Handling client complaints or escalations before they reach you. This is so important because you don't need to be dealing with every client complaint in your firm. This should be handled by someone else before it reaches you. Monitoring communication timelines and service standards in the firm. So making sure that, people are being called back. And it's great because what we talked about last night is your team will be coming to you for legal inquiries about their files and matters. And it's really hard when then you're having that conversation with them on one hand, but on the other hand, you're having to have hard conversations with them about their performance, such as not returning calls, for example, or not serving a client well. So the idea here is that because they're going to be doing that, then it leaves you free, for example, to remain in that seat of leading the legal team when it comes to legal service delivery. But they can take care of all the other things that team members need dealing with, like HR and complaints and all that kind of jazz. So the other thing that they actually do is systems and processes. Now, this is so important. So when people come into the accelerator program, they often don't have a practice manager and they're very busy. And so adding things to their plate, like getting them to systemize their business and add in processes and systems, which ultimately will free you up and give you lots of time back. It's really hard for the business owner to implement all of that. But a practice manager, they will implement it for you. So they will identify inefficiencies in the firm and they'll suggest improvements and help you to systemize. So in Accelerator, we give you all the templates to systemize the firm, and then your practice manager can take them and implement them. They will manage manage anything like updating legal practice management software. So last year when we moved from Leap to Clio, I didn't have any involvement in that. That was all on my operations manager in the firm. They will also oversee compliance with checklists, templates, and workflows and just make sure everything is working really well in the business. So the idea of this person, this role, is smooth operations, making sure that everything in the business is operating smoothly. So it's their job to make sure there's systems and processes and everyone is following them, including you. So that's what we would implement if you're inside the Accelerator program with me. The other thing that they do is they often, and in my case, this is the case, help with the financial and operational oversight. So following up aged receivables, managing supplier contracts and costs, preparing weekly and monthly reports for you. So every week there's a monthly report prepared for me on all of our data so I can see it. And that's the operations manager's role. And then lastly, this person is really your right hand. They are in the leadership team with you. They're acting as a buffer between you and the day-to-day issues so that you can do the things that really move the business forward. This frees up your time to focus on high-level strategy, business development, or if you choose to, step back from the business a little bit. So this person, as you can see, is so important. Now, in the Accelerator program, we've got all of the templates that you need to onboard this person, including position descriptions, because this role is honestly the role that is going to make all the difference in your business. So what does it mean for you as a law firm owner when you hire this role? So let's talk about the biggest benefit here for you as a law firm owner. And that is getting your time and energy back. This makes such a huge difference, and you will not realize how much you are doing. You're holding the fort without a practice manager on everything operational in the business, as well as being a full-time lawyer, as well as leading the team, as well as business development and vision for the firm. It is a lot. And this mental load that you're going to get off your plate when you have this person in your firm, it's going to make all the difference. So when I first hired my operations manager, I was still very involved in everyday details, even, for example, paying my own invoices, HR issues, tech glitches, big decisions, all the operations, and you're losing money all the time because you keep dropping the ball on stuff. For example, with your staff and their holiday requests, you don't end up looking after that as well as you could. And that's going to cost you a huge amount of money because you're not properly recording when they've got holidays, when they've had sick pay and all that kind of stuff. And it's all a little bit chaotic and all over the place. So when I first got my operations manager in, she came in and she cleaned all of that up. And I stopped being a bottleneck because I really did have this right hand, and it made such a huge difference. Within a few months, I was no longer involved in that operational noise in the business, and it made such a big difference. I could finally focus on mentoring my legal team, launch the new office in Brisbane, and create new marketing campaigns to actually grow the practice. And I could take time off without having to think about what's going on or the wheels falling off because I had someone who's essentially managing the firm for me. And then I also got to work on the business and not constantly in it. And I'll be really honest, it's hard to let go at first of some of these things. But the relief and mental clarity that comes from no longer being the only one keeping everything afloat in your business is an absolute game changer. So, what should you be looking for in the right person? This was a question that came up last night at the round table dinner. And this role is definitely a leadership role. Even if you don't call it that officially, you do need someone who can take responsibility and be a leader in the firm. So this is what I recommend looking for. You are wanting someone who's got experience in managing teams or operations. It doesn't need to be necessarily in the legal industry. My operations manager had no experience in law previously, but she had experience running businesses before, and teams. And so that made all the difference. You need someone who is organized, proactive, and solutions orientated because this role is a big role and there's a lot to do. And you need someone who is a really strong communicator. And the ability to manage up. You want someone who will challenge and support you and not just say yes all the time. Because sometimes as entrepreneurial lawyers, we're not necessarily running the business the best way we can. And the role of this person is to really help you to get the operations of the business running really well. So as the business owner, you get to focus on the things that you love in the business. If that's legal work, you get to focus on that. If that's visionary work, you get to focus on that. If it's going away on holiday and having more time off, you get to do that. So that's why it's really important that you're hiring that right person. My final thoughts around this is hiring a practice manager is not an expense. A lot of people don't do it because they think it's an expense, and we're so focused as law firm owners on hiring lawyers who can bill. But think about all the money that an operations manager or practice manager can save for you. For example, just chasing up lawyers to make sure that they've put their billable time in, making sure there's not debt, making sure there's monies in trust, making sure that KPIs are being met and people are performing, making sure that we're not overpaying for anything because they've got time to ring around and make sure that we're getting good deals and, working with those third-party suppliers. There's so many things that they will do that will actually save you and make you money, which is more profit in your pocket, right? So it's not an expense. It is an investment in your sanity, your time, and your firm's ability to scale up. If you're serious about building a law firm that doesn't revolve around you solely, then this is the most pivotal hire you're ever going to make. It is well worth it. I hope that this has been a really helpful podcast, and I would love to invite you to a call with me if you think you'd be a great fit for the Accelerator program. If you're at a stage where your business is a bit chaotic, you're working ridiculous hours, you've started creating a team, and everything's feeling a little bit crazy, then I can help you sort it out. There's no point scaling from here if everything you're going to scale is just going to be messy. So let's get it organized. Let's get your business working like a well-oiled machine so that you can have more profit in your pocket and more time in your calendar. You can jump on a call with me. I'll leave the link below, or you can hop on over to my website to jump on a call. Love to hear from you. All right, have a fabulous week. Bye for now.
Thank you for listening to the Scalable Law Podcast, brought to you by the Scalable Business Lounge. If you would love to know how you can get more clients without relying on referrals, head over to scalablelaw.com to watch my free masterclass. Until next time, you have got this.